Good afternoon everyone and welcome to today's art stream. It's been a very, very busy week since I last streamed. A lot is going on. And oh no, I need to make sure to just turn down. I do not like hearing my own voice while I'm streaming. But yeah, I'm doing okay. Things might be a little bit erratic in the next couple of months. There is a small possibility of a house move going on, which of course upsets plans for everyone when it happens. So bear with me if that does become a thing. There's no guarantee just yet. But hey, yeah, in the middle of a pandemic too. Great planning on my part. Anyway, that's not what you're here to listen to. You are here to see art. So that's what we're going to do. As you can see, the last time I worked on this piece actually was on stream a couple of weeks ago. I am picking it up again. We're going to try and get this piece finished in the next few days, which means today's mostly going to be looking at hair and costume, which will be a lot of fun. But before I can get stuck into that, I do need to finish doing some skin painting on the arms and the fingers of this hand. As you can see, she has a very kind of Edward Elric kind of arm neck on the other side, so... But yeah, it's going good. I hope everyone had a nice weekend. And it's already Wednesday, so you're halfway through, so you're doing great. Just keep going. Alright, let's make sure we're on the skin layer, and we can just get stuck in. First of all, as you can see, I'm just going to carry on with this arm here for now. I'm going to need to add a bit more in the way of shadows soon. I'm trying to remember if last time I worked on this I'd replaced my pen nibs yet, because it makes the job a lot smoother. Come on, Photoshop, don't start already. It's like a grumpy child sometimes. Okay, cool. Well, we'll start with that, and then we'll add some kind of contouring on the other arm as well. But we definitely need a bigger brush than this for this. Just kind of show the rounded shape of the bicep there. In fact, the shoulder's coming too far down, so we'll just chase that back up a bit, and then... Those basic colours. Now we'll just do some blending to work those into the darker paint around them. I also managed to sort out my tablet settings finally. So yeah, nice smooth blending. And thank you so much, I'm a Broke Star, for following. Okay, so I think the next thing we want to do is add some harsher shadows to the arms themselves. So we're going to colour pick from up there and use that as our starting point. And just kind of working out where these shadows are going to be congregating. I won't worry about the fingers too much for now. We can sort those out in a bit. Shadow on the elbow there, chasing up around the side, and little shadow kind of that's going to be created by the arm wraps as well. And then following around the curve of the arm where it's kind of creased in on itself, we can add shadow there as well. And lastly, just a really gentle shadow outlining this side of the arm where there's this lighter kind of making its way down. And then we just kind of blend in these shadows that we've popped in. Hey CBGS, today is indeed treating me well. It's suddenly incredibly cold here in the UK. It's like it's starting to skip autumn now. As soon as Halloween gets finished, it's like, well, I guess it's winter. Does anyone have any cool Halloween plans this year? I mean, obviously no one's really going out much. I know I'm not. staying inside where it's warm and cozy and probably not contagious. Yeah, I've kept usually I have the windows open when I'm streaming because it gets really warm in my office room. But lately I've just been keeping everything closed because the winds are super brisk. I live in Bristol, which is also a very kind of breezy city. And I'm on a 3rd floor flat, so the wind just kind of howls around the flat when it's particularly rough. Thank you so much, Grey Magical Art, for following. If you enjoy the stream. Okay, we're gradually getting somewhere with these shadows. I tend to be fairly gentle with the blending. We want it to be nice and smooth, but we don't need it to be quite so smooth as the face, because that's kind of like the main focal point of the character. So it doesn't need to quite match the face in terms of how much work we put into the smoothing. So yeah, that'll probably do for that level of shadow. Then we'll just blend in the stuff on this side. A little bit of extra shadow there for the edge of the glove that's going onto the gauntlet. Oh, that's so adorable, CB Jess. That's a lovely idea. I would actually love to do that as well. Unfortunately, my usual D&D group are all split up around the country. Even though I'm actually starting a new game this evening, which I'm really excited about. It's my first time DMing in a long time, but I'm running Rime of the Frost Maiden, and my goodness, the weather has come out in support of my goals. Thank you so much, Desfrogo, for following. All the followers coming out today. It's been really good lately, everyone. Thank you so much. Just gonna add a bit of extra light to these arms. This is a slightly buff gnome. Oh, thank you so much, Jackie Checkers. Yeah, this was kind of like, this is now 1.5 streams worth of work. This piece so far. Well, more than that actually, because that didn't take into account the line art and the sketching and all that stuff, which takes time. It all takes time. We love a buff gnome. Well, I figure if you're a proper artificer, you gotta use all those tools. And I've done A-levels in woodworking, and some of them you really need a bit of heft to be able to operate. Like, some routers are really heavy. And that's just woodwork. This is metal. Most artificers are doing metalwork, which is even tougher. I mean, I've done welding before, and that's intense. Alright, that's looking blended enough. We'll just do this side. And then the fingers on this hand here. And then we can get started on the hair, which is... Actually, no. Before hair, we'll do the goggles, because they are kind of the next layer. Blending can be pretty tedious sometimes, but it's worth putting the time in. Alright, so happy with that. Let's do the fingers. So first of all, let's just sort out the slight mess we made earlier. Paint right on over that. And then we can get started with adding the lighter tones. So starting with a nice lighter skin colour. Bigger brush too. Usually when I'm shading fingers, I start from the knuckles and work either side. Because they tend to be kind of the points that gather the most light almost, and you kind of want to help identify where the joints are to make fingers look better. But in this case, this hand is very much in the light, so it's not going to be quite so dark. And then just kind of adding a little bit of blending. Don't go overboard, but we do want to soften up what we've got a bit. And then we can take a nice bright colour there. Oh, call me Kramer. I'm sorry you've had a rough few weeks, but it means a lot to me that you'd come along and hang out. So thank you very much for coming along and joining me. It's been a really weird time. It was a rough spot for me for a bit, and now it seems to be better, but it's impossible to tell really at this time of year. Things can change so quickly. Okay, just adding a little bit of deeper shadow there just to bring the fingers out a bit. And I'm just going to blend in the shadows that we just popped in, apart from the ones that are caused by the edge of the glove, because those would naturally be a little bit harder. Alright, now for fingernails. I think she will have slightly darker fingernails. I'm going to go for a nice dark kind of pinky red for these. It's weird. I always really enjoy autumn. It's probably my favourite season, or fall, as I'm sure as some of you put it. It's definitely a time of a lot of change, which can be quite tough sometimes, but you never really know what it's going to dish out. With that, we're going to go up to the overlines layer, add a little bit of shade on these, and then a little bit of light. Oops, that one went down a bit far. This artificer keeps her nails on point. We have some fingers. Lovely. Alright, so I think with that, we're quite happy with the skin for now as it is. And we can start on some of the interesting parts of the costume. So we're going to start with the goggles and kind of work from there and then do the hair. So, make a new layer underneath. I'm just going to call them goggles so we kind of know what it is. Oh, Nathan Stark, thank you so much. And what we're going to do to start with these, I approach goggles in one or several ways sometimes, and I think I will do the simplest way for now, which is to put down just a base colour for the entire kind of section of the goggles, and then we can work into it with different colours once we've just kind of got the outline sorted out. I haven't actually looked at the new Unearthed Arcana yet, no. I really want to. But I know I'll just want to make more characters, because such is the way of D&D. They sound really cool though. I look forward to potentially painting some characters from the new subclasses if anyone commissions me to do them, because they sound really cool. Alright, so let's go down to a smaller brush to get these little bits so we're not drastically going over the hairlines too much. Whoops, the eraser is far too big right now. I always have to remember to say eraser and not rubber, because I believe that means something distinctly different to my dear American friends. At least it's one of those things that all the kids have a laugh about at primary school here, the fact that rubber has connotations of something else. Amuses kids no end. In terms of commissions, I'll be closed for a little while. I've got a lot to work through at the moment. But you can find all the information for my current commission rates on Patreon. So when I do open up again, you can kind of request commissions. I do them over Twitter and Patreon, and my email address is the way I usually ask people to get into contact with me about commissions. Obviously not at the moment because they're closed. But when they're open, those are the best ways to get in contact. Okay, thank you so much, Abigail Flair, for following. So now we've got this base layer down for the goggles themselves. I think we can start to establish where the colours are going to differentiate a bit. So, for example, the strap is going to be a proper, whoops, make sure we've locked it first, is going to be a proper dark kind of black leather strap. Same with the one that goes in between the eyes there. And then next, I'm trying to think what the body, I think the body will be this kind of dark brown, and then we'll have a lighter brown as the kind of the soft cushioned ring that sits on the face. So we'll just pop that in. As there. Let's tidy up, I've gone over the lines a bit down there. I think the actual cylinder part of the goggle here will also do in the dark kind of black. And in fact what I will do is just make this whole area black there. Do the same here. And we're going to use a nice kind of metallic gold for the actual rims of the goggles themselves when we get that far. So for now, I'm just going to mess with a few things. I'm going to lighten the whole affair slightly. Just because what we're going to do next is we're going to shade it. Now this I usually just use for when I'm shading clothing and fabrics. But I'm going to use it for these as well because I think it might be a quicker way to do the shading. I create a layer above the layer with my colours on, make sure that it's got a clipping mask applied. And then I select kind of like a pale greyish magenta colour. And then I take my fill tool and I'm just going to drop that in there. Fills the whole thing in nice and dark. So the next thing to do is slowly remove the shadows from areas where the light is going to hit. So in this case, with just gentle kind of strokes that follow the lines that we've got. I'm just going to remove it from here because we're going to get light hitting the side of the goggle there. Likewise on the side of the cylinder. I'm just going to erase. I'm going to erase the entirety. Whoops, massive brush. Of this area here, because we're going to do something else with the glass when we get that far. Same with the metallics. Metallics kind of have their own shading protocol that I like to do. And then a bit of light coming around the sides. Mostly that bit there is going to be hidden in shadow. But what we can do is we can also highlight kind of the side cushion. Thank you. Yeah, all this music is by a really nice artist. Let me just pop the link in here. It's all on Spotify as well, but the Free Music Archive is a good place to kind of download tracks, and because it's royalty free and has a kind of Creative Commons license, you can use it for stuff, which is really nice. But yeah, I've liked this particular composer. I've been a fan of for years now. Thank you so much for the sub gift, Lezef. Amazingly kind as always. Subs really do help me out a whole bunch, so if you are able to, maybe you've got a Amazon Prime sub lying about that you haven't spent for this month, do consider throwing it my way if you like the stuff I do, because it does make a massive difference. And you give access to a subscriber / patron only Discord, which is fun, which has like lots of different areas to chat about games, kind of get groups together for games, all that kind of stuff. Alright, so now we've done that basic kind of shading, what we can do is add a little bit more to make it kind of pop. So we'll start with the kind of bumpers, which really isn't the name for them, but it's the name I've given them. Just a lighter highlight line coming down around there. Just peeking around that corner now. Oh, thank you so much, Cheesy Art, for subscribing. Thank you so much. And then we're going to do the same up here, just once again by selecting a slightly lighter tone and using that to pick out areas where light's going to kind of gather. And we can kind of start to see the shape of the goggles coming together. Like so. Around here we'll have a little bit just at the bottom as the light creeps around, that's about it. Over here we're going to need to highlight the strap. Gosh, that's very dark, isn't it? So we'll select that lighter colour, we'll probably do 2 iterations of this. I'm going to drop down to a 6. Oh, Dungeon Scribe, thank you so much. Colour picking is a lot of fun, it's one of my favourite parts. And then we'll highlight the edges of the strap. So, and the parts that are going to capture some light. Get a bit of extra highlight there. This bit won't get so many because it's kind of facing back a bit. I'm going to give it a little bit. And we'll do the buckle in a minute because that's fun. I love painting buckles. It's like one of my guilty pleasures. Alright, that's that part there of the leather. So we're going to have the same thing actually on the cylindrical shape of the goggles themselves. So we're just going to do the same sort of approach here. A little bit up top, and a little bit just light coming around the side. Thank you so much to L2S Entertainment and Bubitaro for following. You are all wonderful, thank you very much. And then again, bits of light coming around the outside because there's going to be a whole lot in the middle. Okay, so with that, next thing to do is, let's do the buckle and the other metallic elements next because they're about my favourite part to do. So Ger's going to get rid of this shadow on the buckle because we're going to kind of shape that manually rather than using the multiply layer. So we're going to start off with a rich kind of dark copper colour for this. And in fact, they're going to be a slightly copper tone of gold rather than bright yellowy gold. And we're just going to fill in those areas where the metallics are going to kind of stick out. Do we have any colouring tutorials? I have a couple. On my Patreon, I've done 2 tutorials. This year there was one originally I did on colouring hair, and one specifically on painting noses. Kind of like a process for doing it realistically and quickly. So those you can find, those are available to all Patreon subscribers. I might be doing some more at some point soon. I kind of want a better camera setup so you can kind of see what I'm actually doing with the wrist movement and kind of see the pen on the surface because I think that does help. But yes, I would like to do some more soon, especially if I do move, I'll have a much better studio space. So at the moment I'm just in a small 2nd bedroom office. You can see my my partner's desk kind of crammed in behind me. So moving will give me a lot more space for making more content. Hey Stu, how you doing? It's good to see you back. Alright, I'm going to drop down to the 7 here as we add some of the lighter parts of this metallic area. same on this side. Hey Faye Violin, thank you so much. I'm pleased that Twitter's clearly doing its job. And I hope you enjoy the stream. The important thing with metallics, I find, is to identify areas where there's a lot of kind of light congregating and almost pick them out. It doesn't have to be super neat, you can do it quite rough because when you zoom out on a piece, they kind of stick out quite nicely. So next we'll pick the lighter shade. Again, we're going to stick with this slightly kind of coppery, antique, not super brightly coloured gold. What brush size do you usually use for the line art? So with a canvas that's roughly 3200 pixels across, I will often use a brush size 9 for line art. 9 and 6 are the two sizes I kind of jump between, using 6 more for details. As you see at the moment, I'm using a 6 as well, to kind of give you an idea of scale. I find any bigger than a 9 and my line art starts to get a bit too chunky. Any smaller than a 6 and it gets a bit too light. Okay, let's add this colour over here as well. Obviously the lightest side is going to be this one. And then we can add some really bright points of light. Just in a few key areas. Like so. And then here as well. Awesome. You can kind of see how they look out zoomed out. So let's just do a little save. Oh goodness me, yes. Getting a workflow between sketching and painting is really tough. It takes a long time to learn for anyone, but when it comes to sketches, I try not to get too bogged down with them because I can always change stuff later on in the process. Line art, I tend to always get a bit bogged down with just because it's like that. Line art can be super tedious. That's kind of just the way of it, really. But again, there's a lot of things you can do in the paint layer that disguise line art stuff, so I guess work out what your priority is and go from there. Alright, so now we've got all those nice details in, what we're going to do is add the actual lens for these goggles. So I'm thinking of how I want to do this. I think it's going to take its own layer because it's going to be semi-translucent. I think it's going to go under the overlines layer, which I don't know why it says overlined. That should say overlines. And above the line art, because we want it to affect the line art as well. And for now, it's just going to be a normal layer. And we're going to use it based on the background colours we have. Oh wait, actually, let me just double check something in the reference for this character. Oh, the goggles are kind of blue, so that works really well. Yes, line art it can be so slow and tedious. Oh my god, I lose my patience with it quite easily. But once you have a workflow kind of sorted out, it speeds up a lot. The whole process does. Just gonna kind of trim down the edges of these lenses. Opacity? I can remember that word. And then that kind of a little bit of light coming in and radiating off. do because it might be fun. We've already got that kind of blurred. We can just play with some effects, see what we like. I quite like starting with a bit of a gradient and then adding the shiny sometimes. And sometimes it's even worth doing the shiny on its own layer and playing with some other effects. But I tend to experiment quite a lot with this sort of thing. But I'm quite happy with that for now. I might even turn down the opacity a bit more. Ooh, that's fun. Or we can play with blending modes, because that's also fun. You can do some cool stuff there. You know, just kind of experimenting around. But I think for now we will leave it as per normal. I might make it a bit more colourful though. Yeah, just a little bit brighter. And then what we can actually do, if we do want it to be a little, oops, not like that. You can do something like that, but I don't really want to right now. I think I'm just gonna leave those as they are until later. I might twiddle them around a little bit more, as I do tend to do. Yeah, make those a bit lighter. Or I could release those from Clip and Mask altogether, and then just manually kind of shave them down a bit. And then this can go back to being on overlay, which catches a bit more colour, which is fun. Oh, thank you so much. I'm pleased you enjoy the channel. That's really lovely to hear. Yeah, it's very nice. Thank you. Ooh, I quite like them being darker actually. Let's leave them like that for now. I'll fiddle with them for ages. Let's make a new layer and get started with the hair, because that's going to be fun. So, when it comes to hair, this character has a lovely kind of bubblegum pink hair. Well, slightly more dusky than bubblegum pink, probably about this sort of hue. Yeah, that would make sense. Then, the first thing to do, I'm going to keep the two parts of the hair separate, the undercut and the longer, wavier hair. We're just going to use a big brush to slap all this on down. And then as soon as we're kind of getting to the point where we need a more detailed brush, I'm going to start by zooming nice and close in, working from left to right, just kind of colour by numbers, filling in the line art. Like so. And it's going to make this a wee bit smaller. Just do that there. I like to tidy up as I go along rather than have to do it all later. I just find it makes for a more efficient workflow. I'm just following that line around as always. Nice kind of bumps and waves to follow. This will be really fun when we get to actually shading it in a minute, which I look forward to showing you guys. There's little curly bits on top. So sometimes it's easier to erase back to get the sharp ends than it is to try and get them from the paint level. It's a good shade. It's a grey shade. It's like a pink sea right now. Oh my goodness, Rebel, thank you so much for your kindness. Thank you so much for donating 5 subs in chat. Oh my goodness. Oh, I can do a button for this. Haha. Amazing. So I'm gonna drop. Here is a link to the Discord. if you have just been given a sub, you should be able to access that now, or at least soon. And yeah, come hang out. If you want feedback on your own work, there's a section for that. There's like a community for talking about video games or tabletop games. Tell us about your characters, all that jam. Show off your own finished artwork or works in progress, all that jazz. I'm just gonna follow this little curl right here. Reminds me, I keep planning to make a new kind of profile image for the branding here on Twitch and on YouTube. But like, I'm really bad at drawing my own face. I can draw countless character faces. When it comes to trying to represent myself, I really struggle. And I can't just be a grumpy green tiefling forever. Oh, Rebel, thank you so much for stopping by and your very generous gift. I look forward to seeing you next time. I hope you have a lovely afternoon. Right, let's just continue this curve around. Nearly there now. Of course, when the actual body of the hair is done, I'll be adding kind of stray curls and stuff just to give it a bit of bounce and a bit more realism. Maybe actually this bit doesn't get filled in. And then the rest is easily done. Alright, so that's the last bit to do on this layer is just with the parting the hairline up here. There we go. I might just add some of these little stray hairs, which are kind of pushing out the sides. Alright, that's the first bit. And I will then fill in the lower bit. And the lower bit's going to be ever so slightly darker. Oh, thank you so much, Lezef. Yeah, this is a really fun character, this one. And the undercut is also pink, because it's very pink. Alright, and we'll just drop down to a smaller brush to do these little tufty bits. Again, they don't need to be super detailed. The detail comes from the line art there, which will soon be recolored to fit the paint underneath, which I will also show you. Alright, so with that lovely candy floss coloured mop, we are ready to start shading. So the first thing I do when I'm painting hair, make sure that the layer we've just put down those base colours on has the alpha channel locked, and then you want to select darker tone based on the original hair colour. And don't forget to save. The number of times I've placed the close button rather than save. Oh, I double check now every time. Alright, yes, so we just kind of slap on some dark colours in areas where the light is not hitting so much. In this case, kind of around the back and the top. Then we do the same, but the other way around. We select some lighter colours for where the light is hitting, and Photoshop catches up with me. And then with those colours set in place, I'm almost tempted to add a bit more dark. Really pushing towards purple because of our blue kind of background tone, just kind of here. Yeah, like that. That's nice. And then once that's in place, I'm going to go and stick on a nice wide Gaussian blur. So what we've essentially ended up with is a gradient to work from. So the next thing to do is sample a colour towards the darker end of the gradient. And go down to a small brush just to start with. And add in kind of the circular areas or the blobby areas where there's naturally going to be shadow, usually behind curls, like so, and then coming down it helps to highlight certain kind of big curls that are kind of standing out there. And then the rest of the hair shading we're going to do with a slightly special little brush that I found about a year ago. If you want to find it yourself, it's called the Lewin Fur Brushes pack, and it's the very first one in the pack. It's called Fur Pointy End, and I'm going to take it down to about a size 50, and this is what we're going to use to shade the majority of the hair, because it has this lovely pointed but kind of fluffy shape to it, and it's invaluable for shading hair. Alright, so just with lots of short, sharp strokes, you want to kind of build up the tone of the hair. And this is just our starting colour. We're going to add more contrast as we go along, especially because this hair is quite complex, so it's got a lot of little areas which are going to need attention. And it's totally fine to create a bit of mess outside the lines. This is what we're going to go back and sort out as we go along. So we can do, if we've gone over a bit, we can just pop in with that colour and sort it out. And usually it's the troughs of these waves that's going to have the most shadow, or kind of areas where you can see the underside of the curl as well. The top side almost always is going to be the bit that catches the light, which we'll get to in a bit. I tend to do shadow first and then light. Thank you so much to Casey Bear and Flack Obama for following. Just going to add some little bits there around these curls. So we just steadily add in all this kind of shading. It's a gradual process, but as is so many things in the arts. You can kind of see now that's starting to generate some kind of shape in the film. Yeah, this character certainly at their crosses. I believe the character's name is Waywocket, which is adorable and one of the most Gnome appropriate names I've ever heard. Naturally start getting darker, so the shading colour we've picked out starts getting lost, so we're going to eyedrop, as I did, from further back in the hair where the gradient is darker, to start kind of using this darker colour. And we can also use it to add extra darkness to places we've used the first colour already. And crevices. Like so, you kind of see that shape is starting to build up quite nicely. There is a shiny Slayer, so shiny Slayer. And thank you so much, Ed14, for the bits. We have a lot of wonderful kindness in chat today, so thank you all so very much for being so great. I'm just going to carry on going back, adding this shading, like so. And because we've almost reached the back now, where it's at its darkest, we're going to need to create a new shadow colour. So we're just going to take what's existing there already and darken it up a bit. And this we can use elsewhere as well, just as a really nice dark accent colour, just to help really pick out the shadows. Can you see how that's looking when you zoom out? Zooming out is very good for checking things out. Whoops. I'm gonna go up a size because we can get away with a bigger brush for some of this. My pen just tapping away. There we go, almost done with that one. And yeah, we've got this nice graduating shadow going towards the back. It's now time just to do a bit of housekeeping around areas where I might have got a little bit untidy. And in some places, they need to get a little bit darker. And then we can move over and do the right hand side, just the same as we did the left. Do a sketch line stay in my art? Yeah, so usually my line art stays in. What I will show you in a little bit, once we finish doing the basic shading, is I tend to recolor my line art so it matches in nicely with the paintwork underneath. And that's a really, really easy technique I can show you in a minute. And a lot of this is going to be quite shadowy because it's kind of including itself next to the face. Like so. And then we're going to take from that nice dark shadow colour here to add the really nice deep stuff. It helps the eyes pop if you can add more shadows next to it. And then of course, if you've gone over a bit, like I have here, you can just clean it up. Alright, so we've got a nice kind of graduating shadow going on. So what I want to do next is add some highlights. The easiest way to start off is I first eyedrop from the brightest part of the paintwork that we've got going. And I will add it to areas where we're currently got darker paint. Just the little bits that will catch some more light. Such as there. And we'll get some coming in over here as well. Helps add that shine. And what I'm also going to add is I'm going to add a much more purpley washed out version of this tone to the hair at the back, because it will be catching a sort of more violet backlight from kind of the background lighting that we've got going. So we can really gently suggest that there, and it adds a bit more 3 dimensions to it. How much does one of these cost? It really depends. I'm trying to remember how this particular character costed, but it was a while ago now. My half body full painterly style pictures, so like this one, currently start at, what do they start at? Here's 110, and that's GBP, because they are at least at minimum kind of 15 hours of work, so when you break that down, it doesn't turn into a huge amount of profit. But such is the way of being a freelance artist anyway. Now we can add some proper highlights, which is much more fun. We're going to stay on this layer. Almost everything is done in the same layer. And just the brightest areas where the light's going to hit, we add some nice bright highlights. Yep, that's correct. I'm just gonna continue moving gently with this brush, adding the highlights as we go back. And as we go along, we'll identify more areas that need them, because the hair is very chaotic and curly. And yeah, it's going well. It's a good day today. It feels like ages since I last streamed, but it was only Friday. Yeah, I usually stream Wednesdays and Fridays, so yeah. Also, I'm kind of blown away right now. There were 80 people in chat, 80 people watching for a moment, and that's bananas. I've never had that many normally unless I'm being rated. So thank you all so much for turning up and coming to watch. And thank you. I do love painting hair. Doing hair details is one of my favorite parts, especially when it's a cool, fun color to mess around with. Bubblegum pink hair, very fun. Hooray for pink girls. Alright, so I think that's kind of the top layer all picked up. Now we will do the lower layer down here. What I'm going to do is similar to before. I'm going to use the same basic gradient for this. So with that little alpha channel on, you can just roughly paint where it's going to get darker. And then I'll also use the really nice dark purple as well. And then, similar to before, start with a Gaussian blur. I think that's about the right level here. And then we can paint in the details. Yeah, I get that a lot, don't worry. If you want to, like, feel free to take as much time as you like. As I mentioned at the start of the stream, I am potentially moving house at some point soon, which is crazy. So it will kind of put a bit more time on things. But when I know if it's happening for sure or not, because it might not happen, I will let everyone who's commissioned me know. This is where this brush really comes into its own. It's very good for doing short fur as well as long fur. That is good fun. I look forward to hearing it when I've got some more stuff set in stone. Again, take this slightly desaturated purple just to add some backlight highlights to the edge there. And we do need a bit more shadow up top. Like so. And then some nice deep shadows down here. That we might even use it go a touch darker for just under the ear. Then we can always take it back with that backlight. And we have some delightfully pink hair. I might even add some of the lighter notes just in a few key places. So, there we go. And then the nice thing is, because we've kept these layers separate, we can play around with the tone. For example, I can make that a little more desaturated so that it's the curly parts that really bring it out, and it kind of helps make the undercut look a little shorter as well. Orchestra. I'll drop another link in chat. Yeah, the music is really great, and it's by a really lovely artist, and all his stuff is kind of royalty free, so it's good to use. Important to stay hydrated. So I'll show you what I was talking about with the line art now. If I now go to the line art layer, that's what it looks like without it, by the way. I'll make sure to turn that alpha channel on. As in lock the alpha channel. Then I'm going to start with a kind of mid-level purple, not dissimilar from the hair itself. And then I'm just going to brush over the line art. And as you can see, this is making it pink. because my line art's always set to multiply, it darkens what's underneath it, which is really handy for experimenting with different colours. So I can make it lighter, which I will do on the front. And there we have some very pink hair. Okay, so with that, we've done the goggles, we've done the hair. So I think it's time we start on this character's clothing. So they're very kind of steampunk. They're going to wear a variety of kind of browns and kind of beige colours with some pink accents. So to start with, we will do this top part of the jerkin, which I think I'm going to do in a nice dark brown. So with that, I'm going to merge the two hair layers together because we're done with them. Going to see how they are there. And what I might also do is merge the shadows on the goggles down, because it's best to try and keep fewer layers if you can, just because it'll stop your computer clogging up quite so much, like mine does. So let's just rename that so we know what it is. And a new layer called jacket. So, lovely. So I find a little trick for when you want to select a dark brown kind of leather colour. I find the best thing to do is to actually start with a really dark desaturated red. Going straight in with a kind of orangey brown can make things a little bit less cohesive. So that's why, whoops, I tend to start there. Headphones falling off. So as you can see, this is actually red, and yet in this light it looks brown. So I'm actually going to increase the red, make it look a little richer. There we go, I like that colour. It's like a proper dark chocolate. And then we're just basically filling in the line art. It's very painting by numbers at this stage. I'm going to have to sort this out. The problem with wearing glasses is it does not remotely work well with headphones. Not like this kind of headphones anyway. I need to get some new ones. But that's better. Right, so just gently filling that in up to the lines. And because we're doing this on a layer below the skin layer, we can scribble over it, and because this layer is technically underneath, we won't be spoiling what we've already done. I can see that I've slightly overstepped over here in the skin layer, so I'm just going to touch this bit back. Is that not in the skin layer? Oh no, it's in the layer I was just doing. Huh. There we go. Tidied up. And then with a slightly smaller brush, because we don't want to go over the other lines we've got going here, just like I just did. Clearly I'm having a clumsy day today. Nope, go away, brush settings. I don't need you right now. Just fill in that. And then continue on the other side of the strip. What kind of resolution is the image I'm working on? Let me show you. If I go to image size, this particular image is 3200 pixels wide. I'm working at 300 dpi, which is about the minimum you want to be using for print projects. And the height, I didn't set that specifically, I just let the height auto adjust depending on my width. The width of my pieces, I tend to always start at minimum 3000 in order to get the detail that I want. But yeah. And then the height I just let kind of set itself to whatever, as long as that keeps the aspect ratio. Yeah, for this one, for a portrait half body character, 3 by 4.5 roughly, yeah. As you can see from this character, they're quite vertical, they're not holding arms out in front of them or anything, so they could very much squeeze into a nice vertical plane. Alright, so we've painted that top part of the jacket. What I'm going to do next is just mess with the colour slightly. I'm going to lighten it up a touch, because then I'm going to do what I did earlier with the goggles, make a new layer above it, set it to multiply, pick a nice desaturated pale kind of magenta, and fill in the whole lot. And this is our shadow. And then of course, as I showed before, selecting a white paint color. Since we're on a multiply layer, it will essentially remove the shadows for us. We can then gently paint wherever we want the shadows to be removed. I need to get my fringe cut. Super getting in the way of what I'm doing. Ball and scissors. Thankfully I'm not quite that desperate. I'd let my fringe grow out before I massacred it. Alright, let's get a nice big brush for doing the top part. And again, at first we keep this rough just to get the vague shapes of how the fabric is, or in this case how the leather is falling, and then gradually get smaller brushes as we work out the individual creases. Hey Jealous Lucy's, welcome to the stream. And then in some places, the reason I've painted in white instead of just erasing this multiply layer is because if I go to drop from current layers, I can get a nice full gradient of the different levels of shadow I have going on, which means I can blend them. And anyone who knows my painting style knows how much I like to blend. And yeah, we can just soften the shapes of the leather as we blend the colours nicely. So, similarly on the outside. There, and then we'll do a little bit up here as well. And then what I'll also do is I'll remove the heavy shadow from these straps where it needs to be. And also from the buckles, because as you've seen before, when painting buckles I like to kind of do their shadow and stuff on their own layers. Down there, just to... Awesome! So we have the nice kind of leathery texture. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to select a darker shadow colour to shade in those areas of deeper darkness, such as inside the sleeve. There'll be an extra kind of amount of shadow underneath the straps. Like so. And of course, oh, I just noticed I've painted where I shouldn't, actually up here. So let's take that off. No, here. And this isn't actually meant to be here. There we go. Anyway, what was I? Extra shadows under this strap here. And just coming out from under the armpits and in the really tight creases in a few places. Like so. Oh, Ed Fortune, thank you so much. I hope it's kind of useful, informative, or just, fun to watch. What I can do now is we're going to add a little bit of highlighting. So with a slightly bigger brush, but not massive. Areas where I'm happy light is hitting a bit more can get a little bit of extra highlight on them. Like that. On this side, and here. How and when did I get into Dungeons and Dragons? I started playing Dungeons and Dragons when I must have been about 19. I was at university at the time. A friend of mine invited me to a game and just kind of fell in love with it, really. I've been painting for a lot longer than I've been playing D&D, but painting D&D based stuff is almost certainly my favourite thing to do. I just adore the game to pieces. I do quite a lot of DMing now, and it's just, you know, lovely stuff to work on. Okay, cool, I'm happy with that. So what I'm going to do next is we're going to paint these straps. They are going to match the colour of the goggle straps because I love cohesive colouring. And because we've already got that shadow sorted out, they'll already be shaded right for us. Showing on the other side too. And then what we can do is we'll do the buckle while we're here. But yeah, my first ever D&D character was a silky ranger, basically. I DM did a lot of homebrew races, which was fun. To the overlines layer to add in kind of like the metallic elements of this. Going to go all the way down to a 6. Yeah, I love Selkies and the folklore around them, so it was cool of him to let me play one. They certainly did. What a pun, I love that. Seal of approval. How droll. And then last little bit of light's gonna go there. Before we can also add some highlight to the strap itself using colour we used earlier. We'll go for a slightly bigger brush though. Thank you so much, Sick Red Leader, for following. I hope you enjoy the stream. There we go. There's the shading on there. A little bit coming across there. And there we have the upper section of the jerkin. So, what I want to do next, I might actually do this crossbody strap before I get on with the jerkin itself. Yeah. Yeah, it was, like, this whole setting that my DM used was entirely homebrewed, which was really cool. Even the dice system was more based on the World of Darkness dice system than it was based on Dungeons & Dragons 5th Ed. So it was quite a crash course to be my first D&D game. I didn't actually play 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons until quite a bit later. I played more kind of World of Darkness before I got into D&D. But overall, I prefer D&D as a game, I think. I can find World of Darkness a bit stressful at times. Yeah, that was the thing. I had a lot of friends who wanted to play but had never done it, and so no one really wanted to do Dungeon Master, so it just never happened. Whereas this other group I actually met later just kind of invited me in as a player, and it was the wildest game ever, because when we started we had about, 9 players? Like a party of 9? So we actually ended up with more like 2 parties, separated by vast geographical distance, and the DM would kind of swap and change between us. It was quite something. Oops. No, come on. There we go. Alright, so with the strap painted in, now we can shade that. For this one, I'm not going to bother with doing the whole multiply layer thing. I can kind of anticipate what the colours would be. It's funny, actually, I'm running a first session of a new campaign for D&D 5e tonight. I'm very excited and kind of nervous. Oh my goodness, 17. Oof, it's a good thing you had multiple DMs. I don't think see how that would have worked otherwise. Goodness gracious. Alright, let's put that nice dark shadowy colour on the side of the strap that's turned away from the light. Now we can pick a highlight colour. Helps pick out edges too, which is quite useful. And then we'll do the same down here. Lovely. We've got the leather part of that strap. Now we can do the kind of almost clock dial type device that's halfway down it. Yep, it's a socially distanced Roll20 game, which I've been diligently learning over the last few months. Yes, we want to do it on this one. We're going to start with the same base colour that we used for these. Do I prefer being called Rachel or Talia or Tal? Honestly, I am totally cool with any of those. Rachel, Rach, Talia, Tally, I get called all of them. And I'm totally chill with any of those. So it's just down to your personal preference, really. Okie dokie. Let's just trim that back a little bit. But yeah, it's been really cool. I've worked on a few bits and pieces with Roll20 lately for their new Rhyme for Frost Maiden stream, so that's been so much fun, and they've been lovely to work with, so very happy with all that. The Arcana, yes, that's true. That is a name that we have. We did create that, yeah. The Arcana wizard, yeah. There should be an art-based wizard who, rather than drawing like runes and glyphs, draws prey pictures. I would play it. Oh, thank you so much for the sub-gift, Lezef. Again, you are on fire today. You're all on fire, and I love you all to pieces. Thank you so much. Lezef is indeed a legend. It's such a good name. I love it. I kind of want to do a subclass now based on that. That's so much fun. Alright, steadily adding the kind of metal tones to this piece of tech. I might add some darker tones. underneath. And we'll pick a nice bright light to do a layer slightly above. Let's go back. Let's do the shinies layer. Why not? Go down to a 6. Really highlight those edges. I need to make a, I totally need to make a emote for Shiny Slayer now, huh? Alright, there's that metal MacGuffin. We're going to add a nice kind of glowing light in it, which I think I'm going to do in turquoise because I can't be controlled. Turquoise is my favourite colour. Also, nothing contrasts better with brassy, antique-y colours than turquoise. It's just the best. I love it. Oh, so many puns today. You're all amazing, but you're all terrible at the same time. Alright, that's a nice shiny MacGuffin. Just gonna add a tiny bit of reflected colour from there. And we have a nice shiny MacGuffin. Lovely, let's save again so we don't lose everything. And the next thing I want to do, I might actually just do this forearm coming across. So what do I want to do first? I think we want to do the arm wraps. And I'm deciding what colour I want them to be. The obvious choice is that kind of bandage beige, which is what I'm going to call it. But I'm actually tempted to try a pinky red because I think that's more fun. I'm also having trouble getting into Discord. I'm not sure why you wouldn't be able to get into the Discord, especially if it's connected to the Twitch. I don't know. I probably have to look into it with Stu because they are much better with the techie side of thing than I am. But I will have a look into it and see if I can get that fixed. I'm not sure why it wouldn't be letting you in. Which is very odd. But yeah, I'll take a look into it and see if I can get that fixed for you. But yeah, let's try a nice dark desaturated red for now. Oh, that's way too light actually. Go to be darker. Thank you so much, Stu. Everyone give some love to Stu because they've been super ill lately. And it totally sucks with everything going on. Alright, let's add another shading layer to this. Stu is a legend, it's true. Such a legend. Right, once again, same protocol as before, jumping up to a white to just remove the shadow in places we don't want it. Ooh, getting hungry. How long are we going? Wow, we need to be going an hour and a half, huh? No wonder I'm hungry, it's dinner time. Yes, they do. Oh, sorry for missing that. Commission slots are announced on my Patreon first because part of my Patreon rewards are to give patrons kind of priority on commissions so they can have a chance to reserve first. After that, commissions are opened up on Twitter. They are, at the moment, they are first come, first serve, so it depends on how quickly you can jump on my tweet. I tend to tweet for commissions at about kind of mid-evening UK time when I do open them. I think last time I opened them at about 7, 8, 9 sort of time in the evening, which I totally understand can be really awkward if you're not in a time zone that gels with, so I'm really sorry about that. At the moment it's kind of the only way I can do it. I would kind of say everyone kind of sign up and I'll pick commissions based on what I want to do, but if I do that, it's not really fair because I'll just end up painting tieflings. And that's not very good for my own skill development either. I like to, you know, give everyone with all sorts of characters a chance to kind of get them painted. Thank you so much, Lezef. Yeah, the shading on this character has been really fun to do and I'm very much enjoying it. Alright, with that, let's add a little bit of highlight. Let's make them nice and shiny. Well, not shiny, but glossy. There we go, bit of gloss on there, looking nice. And what I might do is I might just pop in a slightly darker shadow just towards the bottom. There we go. Oh my goodness, Elran, oh my god. Oh my god, ending the stream after painting the sleeves, would that make it a wrap? That's the worst thing I've heard all day, but also great. Thank you very much for gifting us with your witticisms in the stream. Oh dear, I love it. Right, we're gonna paint the glove to start with the same base brown we've used for the top of the jerkin. Although it's got a cool little metal plate on it, so that will be a slightly different colour. Yeah, it's true. Stream MVP for sure. I think we made a bit of a messy line just down there, so I'm gonna tidy up a few bits and then carry on with these outer lines. It's kind of difficult when you're painting on a coloured background that's the same value as the colour you're using. It's hard to make sure that you're painting with full opacity, so I'm just pressing the pen pretty hard right now. Just to make sure. Alrighty. So once again, you're pretty familiar with this by now. Clipping mask, multiply magenta. Gives us a nice dark colour, and then we can start pulling it away. Yeah, so basically I'm just listening to pretty much all of Kai Engel's stuff. Just downloaded from the free music archive, but all of their work is also on Spotify, where you can kind of find it on various albums and playlists. But yeah, it's really nice, peaceful music. That's great atmospheric stuff to listen to. That's why I use it for my streams, because I find it very relaxing to paint to. steadily shading these gloves. And then what we can do is once we've kind of put down some nice bright points of light, we can blend a little bit between them. Goodness me, I'm so hungry. I really need to eat before I stream. You'd think I would have learned by now. But I never learn. Well, an artificer's got to have strong nails, so I figure they've basically just put something super durable on them. I've been re-listening to all of the old Welcome to Night Vale episodes while I've been working recently. It's perfect for this time of year. It's like my favourite Halloween-y type story. Just got a little bit of shadow there. It's just kind of highlighted a few places where we actually need to add a bit more. Now that it's darker, we can kind of see what we're doing a bit better. Okay. Alright, so we've got a nice glove there. What I might do is just add a bit of highlight. I love Night Vale. I kind of go through phases where I don't listen to any, and then I get back into it and listen to it like religiously. Photoshop doing the blob thing again. Sometimes it gets its knickers in a twist. And I'm just going to do this bit on the overlines layer. Like so, we have a nice little glove. That's it, it's an Artificer subclass for sure. I love that. I love it a lot. Alright, I'm just gonna take the shadow off of this metal plate. And also off of these little pins that come off of it. I might as well take it off down there as well. Alright, and then new layer in between those two. I'm going to use the same metal that I've been using so far. So switching to all layers, I'm just going to eyedrop from there and just add it into this plate and the little pins. Oh, yeah, sorry. I will sort that out as soon as the stream is finished and get that all fixed, and then hopefully everyone can kind of join the Discord as normal. Thank you so much, Leza, for stopping by. It was really lovely to have you in stream today. And have a lovely evening. Alright, so now with that alpha locked, you can add light. lightest point, which I'm actually going to do on the overlines layer. I'm being very inconsistent about whether I'm using overlines or shinies, aren't I? Sorry about that. Inconsistent artist. Alright, so we have the metal plated glove, the arm wraps, and the kind of top of the jerkin, so this is going quite nicely. Now what I might do is just fiddle with the colour of these arm wraps a little bit, because we can take them down, we can make them lighter, just generally kind of fiddle around with their colour. Ooh, I quite like making them a bit kind of reddy brown, that's nice. Yeah, I like that, let's stick with that for now. And looking at the time, I think I need to go and eat something, so this seems like an excellent time to start signing off. So first of all, thank you all so very much for stopping by to watch my stream this evening. It's been honestly lovely to have everyone in chat, and you know, I always enjoy answering questions, so feel free to ask some more next time. I will next be streaming. It is a wrap. Thank you, Elleran, for that one. I will next be streaming on Friday at, again, 5 p.m. UK time, unless anything radical happens to mean that I can't, in which case I will make sure I let people know on Twitter. Speaking of Twitter, if you found me through Twitch today, I generally put updates about when I'm streaming and also uploading my finished artworks on Twitter, so do give me a follow there if, no DeviantArt link yet, sorry Elleran, but do give me a follow on Twitter if you would like to see more of my stuff. In a similar vein, if you don't use Twitter but you use Instagram, drop me a follow on there instead, if that's kind of your preferred platform. Much the same stuff, finished artwork, miniature painting, costume making, all that kind of stuff goes on my Instagram. Next, if you're purely interested in my portfolio and nothing else, please head over to my ArtStation. That tends to be where I have my best stuff on there, so if you're interested in that, just have a little look over there. And last but certainly not, oh no, it's not anymore, I have an extra link. I have a YouTube now. If you missed the start of this stream or would like to see some of my other streams, check out my YouTube. It has all my VODs uploaded. This VOD should be up there in a couple of hours. I tend to try and upload right after I finish streaming. So there is that, and last but not least, if you like what I do and want to support my work and help me, as this is, make this my full-time income, please consider checking out my Patreon and supporting on there. There are various different rewards at different tiers, including like sketches, works in progress, tutorials occasionally, stuff like that. So do check that out if that's something you're interested in. Okay, I think that is everything. So once again, thank you so very much for joining me this evening. I'll be back on Friday and look forward very much to seeing you then. Until then, stay safe, stay cozy, and have a great week. Speak to you soon.